Welcome to the Tomb of Illumination. Videos here are all about the flat earth design, all described in ancient philosophy. It's what all ancient philosophy is referring to in their roundabout ways, talking about the metaphysics and the unconceived by the mortal man, but can be appreciated and understood by the enlightened ones, or those who have an insight into reality as opposed to the perceived reality. So this video is about, I'm going to explain how and why Venus works the way it is in the flat earth system. The actual system. It's never been explained properly. I don't think. I can't find it online. They don't explain it properly. It's gobbledygook. I mean, obviously the scientists will know what it means because they are trained to understand imaginary gobbledygook. So, but for the average guy, they can't perceive how it actually works. So I'm going to do my best to explain it. I thought it was easy. I had it in my head, but then when I go to, this is the second attempt, when I go to explain it, it's not as easy as I thought, even just drawing it. So anyway, let's give it a go, eh? So if you haven't seen the flat earth design, the proper one, the real one, you have to go back and check out my videos. But anyway, it's about the ecliptic plane and the way it tilts. Up and in, down and out, all around, just like a jellyfish moving through the water. Okay, all around like a dome, goes up and down. The dome flutters up and down. So when it's down and out like this, down and out, it's the December solstice, Capricorn, out in the southern hemisphere, the far reaches. But then it starts wandering back up, gets right up to the Cancer, the northern solstice. This is up and in. Some of you, if you read your ancient philosophy or mythological stories, you might have read something about the spider web. Actually, it's in Greek mythology somewhere. The spider web. So you might recognise this as the spider web. So basically, these are the planets. You can imagine the ecliptic plane at equilibrium, the equinox, dead flat, the black hole is dead centre, and the sun is on its horizon, which gives it the egg shape. We're going to get into that soon, about why the geese and the egg and all that sort of thing. That is the actual cosmic egg. That's why we get the elliptical shape in there. But no planets, nothing does an elliptical cycle. That's all Kepler BS. Because nothing goes around the sun, so it can't go do the ellipse. Everything goes around the black hole. Nothing can actually get around the sun or past the sun, because the sun is on the inside track. It's got the most pace. It's blue shifted. It's more energy. That's one way of looking at it, but then you have to look at it as just being in the inside track, a shorter route. That's why it beats everything else. So this is how you have to look at it. So there's equilibrium. It's funny how equilibrium, all the planets all sit on the ecliptic plane nice and level. But then as the season starts changing, going on down to December solstice, they all start tilting. Jupiter, Saturn start getting the tilt on. Maximum tilt at the solstice. Funny how Earth is supposed to be in amongst these planets, and it's always on a permanent tilt. Why would that be? No, it's all bullshit, see? So listen carefully. I'm telling you the truth. There's an ecliptic plane and it tilts down like this. Then it goes back up to the March equinox or September, whatever you want to call it, whichever way you're perceiving it from, northern or southern hemisphere, and then starts going like this, up and in. This is the fluctuation. Expansion and contraction is basically what it is over our realm. Now, so you take Mercury as close to the Sun. We're talking about Venus. It's just a little bit further out. And it's all to do with its position in relation to the Sun. Why it disappears, why we only see it at night at a certain time, why we see it at a certain time in the morning and the evening. So this is creation. This is all back in the centre of creation, which is hidden in the Arctic centre, above the Arctic. The place of inaccessibility. No aeroplanes can fly through here. I mean, we're probably way down here somewhere. Way down here. Aeroplanes are probably way down here actually. But it's all hidden in here. Projected out. Projects out our whole realm. So you have to think of this being vertical. Well, the plane is horizontal, but it's sitting at the top of the spiral, the S-curved spiral of the vortex, the magnetic vortex that creates our realm. The ecliptic plane is on here, at the horizon of the black hole. So it's another story explaining why the top of the black hole goes like that, but put that aside for now. This is what's happening. But in our physical realm, everything is perceived in like a rainbow. Man is at the centre. Everything is equal distance from the observer. Everything flows over him like this, over his day. It's not just an arc, it's a dome. 180-degree dome. This gets into Euclid geometry. Even Pythagoras talks of the sphere, hemisphere, yeah. And I'll get into a bit more of this philosophy in a book I've just started reading, Western Philosophy. It's flipping very well written. It straight away starts explaining everything I put into my videos. That'll be the next video, I think. So this is how you see it. So we see Venus close to the Sun. We see it in the morning just before the Sun comes up. And so you can imagine it swinging around like this. So as soon as the Sun comes up, obviously that's going to disappear. You only see it for a short time there. And then eventually, like I say, the Sun's got the most energy. It will pass Venus. So we don't see it passing Venus, do we? Because it's in the light of the Sun. But eventually the Sun will pass it, get ahead of it, and then we'll see Venus pop up in the western sky as the evening star. Evening star. But this morning star is actually, I might have mentioned in earlier videos that it wasn't Venus, because it was referring to Lucifer, which is, it all comes down to the same thing anyway. So Venus is an evening star right now, February 22nd to March, blah blah blah, in 2023. There's a bit of general information. But Venus is considered the morning star. Lucifer. But Lucifer is also considered as the enlightened one who's just come into being. His creation, his second birth. Because it's all to do with the time of the year. And this time, when Venus is the morning star, is September, early September. I haven't spent too much time online, but from what I gather, it seems to be a morning star in September all the time. I could be wrong. But even if it's not, at the divine periods, around about not long after a solar eclipse, Venus will be the morning star. So it's to do with the season. And so with these other things, the geese and the goose, it's all about the season, because at the beginning of spring, the geese start flying over in certain parts of the world. I just happen to be in a town where there's plenty of geese and they're just flying over. Swans, geese, same thing. They just start coming over, heading north as the season changes. And why? They've gone from winter into summer and they're coming from the south to the north. Let's not get into that, but anyway, they start coming over. It's the geese season. Wah, 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 flying overhead or flying back each day. They come over think they come this way in the morning and then fly back that way at night, where I am. Right, so it's to do with early spring. It's the whole creation story, because creation the day is the 6th day of creation. And I'll put in my previous videos, the 6th day of September is when the sun crosses on the analemma. That's the cross, die on the cross. Man's old spirit, I don't know what they want to call it, his old self dies on the cross for the enlightened one who was lucky enough to be enlightened, and is reborn in spirit. This is when he activates his soul. So I've mentioned plenty of times in my videos that we all have a soul. No, I used to say we don't have a soul, but we do all have a soul, but it's not activated. Because it's our soul that goes on in the cycles of man. It's always there. That's what is always with your different form in reincarnation. You'll come back as any animal, but your soul is always there. And depending on how stupid you are in this physical world as a human, depends on where you're going to end up in the next recycling system. You could go through millions of cycles. You could go through the whole animal kingdom maybe before you come back to being a human again and being given another go. So you have to wake this thing up before you die, before your physical death. This all has to happen in your existence here on earth while you're alive. So realise it's about the season, time of the year. The geese, the mythological stories about the geese and the goose. Now the goose egg, you can refer to the egg. There's one aspect of the goose, the geese, the cosmic egg, because it is a cosmic egg, because you got the sun here, but this is circular here, the black hole centre, and the sun there creates the elliptical shape. But all the celestial bodies, they go around the black hole in a circle, because the sun's racing ahead. They don't come out over there and do that. It's complete rubbish. I don't know if Kepler actually came up with that, or they just spun a big bullshit story because they're all Freemasons, just to confuse you. But I'm going to explain more of this in this philosophical book in the next video. So, back to Venus. It's in relation to the sun in its position here as the ecliptic plane moves. Okay? So you have to understand, if the sun is there and the sun laps it, it's going to be on the other side, so it'll end up over here. Venus will end up on the other side on the way up, or maybe before then. This will end up be a morning star or an evening star. It's to do with because the sun goes around the Earth 360 degrees every day, but over the year you could say it does as a full cycle is 365 days, right? But Venus is 238 or something, or can't quite remember. But it's not far off, so it's always close to the sun. That's why it spends a lot of time in the light of the sun while we don't see it. And at night, well, we don't see it at night. Well, it must be the similar system. So it's going down there at night. So night comes, all the stars start appearing from, as the sun goes down here, the stars start appearing from here. There, you see Venus has gone around with the sun. Okay? But it's all to do with its proximity of the sun here, which they do explain in the globe model though. But you've got to understand this flexing of the ecliptic plane close to the sun, and the fact the sun moves ahead quicker than Venus, and the speed difference between the two. 365 days, so you can say 365 miles an hour, and this one's 238 miles an hour, whatever. And the story goes, these will appear first because look, they're away from that light of the sun up here in the centre. So when you can imagine trying to look up, you're looking up, they're away from the light of the sun. So these planets further out in the scale, in the rainbow, aren't affected by the sun. You get that? It seems so exciting in my head, but I don't think I've explained it very well. But that's it, everyone. You've got to understand the ecliptic plane, the black hole in the centre, the sun on its horizon, the proximity of the sun, these two planets. They're not planets, they're wandering stars. There's only one planet, and that's Earth, and we're on it. We see everything like this. We see through the light spectrum to the white light of the sun. But you have to realise it's opposite to creation. So in a way, in this situation, because we have to imagine we're the son of man, we're the blue shifted. We're the blue shift, see? So moving away is red shifting. So you've got Mercury, Venus and that here, and then Saturn out there. And you've got the sun out there, way out there. Because we have to see the sun through the light spectrum to the bright white light. And the moon will be down here. It's hard to picture the moon being close to Venus and that when in the ecliptic plane. It's not. It's a bit different if you see my other videos. But you have to realise that this is the light of the sun, and the moon is your lower. The moon is like the lower chakra. It has to be at the bottom. The bright light is at the top. Raising your kundalini, get to the white light. And that's the way it is. So, because your sacrum is the moon, pineal gland is the sun. So the moon is always lower. It's down here somewhere. It's like the negative. It's like the shadow. It's basically the shadow. That's another deep story, getting into the human body and what it is and why it has this shadow. Basically the shadow is the black hole. You want to see an earlier video of me describing the planets, the wandering stars as black holes with that end up having their gradient frequency as the image. And the black hole of creation's black hole is Earth. Earth is that image from that black hole. And the planets have all their own images are their respective energy gradients. So the moon is completely different. It's like an